Praise the Lord. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to another Good Morning Grief Devotion. It's Shabbat. Pastor Corral and Lincoln Sr. So happy and excited to have this wonderful opportunity to come to you today to lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked, my brothers and sisters. Grief, it is the natural, normal, and necessary response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. That grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is how you reveal it on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. And that's why we shout good morning, because mourning is a good thing. And I'm so glad that you are with us on today. So we lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. Today, my brothers and sisters, is day 250. We're going to talk about my personality determines, in part, my grief and mourning. My personality determines, in part, my grief and mourning. Make sure you like, share, tag somebody in this post if you know that there's somebody that's dealing with loss, change, and transition and needs to hear this devotion, that it will be beneficial for their life. Make sure you tag them in this post as we dare to prepare to talk about. Here it is once again. My personality determines, in part, my grief and mourning. Sound like a TV person, don't I? Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. My personality was shaped in my childhood. Whether I'm an introvert or an extrovert, a thinker or a doer, a silly or serious person, I am who I am. And how I naturally grieve and mourn is an expression, in part, of my personality. Oh, this is so very true, y'all. Right? How we grieve and mourn is a natural expression and part of our personality. Whether you're an introvert or you're an extrovert, whether you're a thinker, what did they say? A thinker, a doer, a silly or serious person. I am who I am. How I naturally grieve and mourn is an expression and part of my personality. Y'all, so I'm a silly person, right? God has given me a crazy sense of humor, and it comes out in everything that I do, right? Even when you bring your natural, authentic self to everything you do. The pulpit, when I preach, when I teach. Now I'm serious, but I'm gonna bring my natural, authentic self. So you're gonna get Jesus, but you're gonna get these jokes, right? And everything that I do in this, and I'm the same way everywhere, at home, church, this, that, and the other. But even when it comes to grief and mourning, right? Even when it comes to grief and mourning, um, it is my natural, authentic self. So I'm silly. I remember when my father died. They didn't wheeled him out the house. We done came and took him down the steps and put him on the little gurney in the bag and all this stuff. Oh, Jesus. And brought him down the steps and the put him inside the car, and they drove off. And so everybody is at his apartment, not his apartment, is at his house, and we all hanging around. And first thing that I do, right, just seeing my father dead, and just put him in the thing on the gurney on the cart and took him downstairs, and he's gone. He's out of here. And what's the first thing I do? Crack jokes. immediately. I'm starting to crack jokes, right? Everybody laughing, right? We crying, but we laughing as well. Why? Because that's just me, naturally and authentically. I've made videos, right? And it's just me being me, right? We bring our natural, authentic self, even to this, even to when it comes to mourning, when it comes to grief, right? Our personality. So whether you are introvert, right, or whether you're extrovert, you're introvert. And so it's not that you don't like to be bothered with people, but you just introverted, right? And so now all of these people are around crowding your space, right? You like naturally, my natural personality is just I'm an introvert, and I got all these people coming to my house, running in and out of my. And it's not that I don't want the support, but you're right? And some people may think that, oh, well, she's being closed off. No, naturally, authentically. My natural personality is to be introverted, right? Or extrovert. I'm an extrovert. I'm outgoing. And so, you want people around, right? Because this is how you grieve. This is coming to the grief process. Your personality comes out. Thinkers. Some people are thinkers. You're in deep thought. Some people are doers, right? And it's not that you're trying to suppress. Maybe you are, but you're just a doer. It's like I get up and do. That's what Florida Evans was doing. Y'all remember Florida Evans and James died, and now she's cooking. She's trying to do everything. They told her to sit down. Florida wouldn't do nothing. She picked up that punch bowl and slammed it down, and she uttered that one famous word 3 times: ham, ham, ham. Right? It all came out. She was doing. She's a doer, right? So what do you do? What is your natural personality? What are you bringing to this grief moment as it relates to your personality? Because whatever that natural personality is going to show or reflect even in this time of grief. Our personality was shaped in our childhood, whether I'm an introvert, an extrovert, a thinker, or a doer, a silly or serious person. I am who I am. And how I naturally grieve and mourn is an expression and part of my personality. I have the right to grieve and mourn in ways that feel right for me. This is the thing, y'all. Grief is not one size fit all. It's not, here's the plan, everybody follow this plan. No, you have the right to grieve and mourn in natural ways that feel right to you. And so don't let somebody try to force you into doing certain things that don't naturally feel right to you, right? You do want to develop healthy coping mechanisms, and you do want to do things in a healthy way, but do it in a way that feels right to you. Do y'all remember when David went to fight in battle, Goliath, and Saul was like, put on my armor, and David tried to put on this armor, and David said, this don't feel right to me. I can't fight in this. Like, I don't wear armor. I just got a rock and a rag. I got a slingshot. I don't feel right in this. I can't fight in this. This don't feel right to me. Right? When it comes to grieving, you find out what works for you. And if it don't feel right, right? Some of you, it's where you might not do group. You might not want to sit around in a circle with 20 other people. It just don't feel right, right? Some of you may want to do group. You don't want to sit in a room one-on-one with a person. You need a bunch of people around, right? It's ways that naturally feel right to you, as long as it's healthy, right? Find out what naturally feels right to you. I have the right to grieve and mourn in ways that feel right for me. Still, I should be on the watch for tendencies and habits that don't serve me well in grief. Again, healthy mechanisms, right? Be on the watch for ways that don't serve you well. You want to do stuff that naturally feels right for you, but it needs to be instrumental, not detrimental. It needs to be healthy mechanisms. For example, if I'm not comfortable expressing my emotions, now is the time for me to work on emotional intelligence and the capacity to share feelings outside of myself, right? So you want to be mindful of that, right? If you could say, I'm an introvert, I'm not comfortable expressing my emotions, but you still got to work on your emotional intelligence, because the only way to grieve and mourn is to express feelings outside of yourself. So you can't say, well, it feels naturally right to me not to say nothing at all. Nah, that's not gonna fly, right? We got to work on that emotional intelligence and express outwardly what we're feeling inwardly. But the bottom line is knowing your personality and what you're bringing to this moment and how you need to navigate through it. Here's the final thought, y'all. My unique and one of a kind personality will continue to influence my grief and my mourning. My unique, one of a kind personality will continue to influence my grief and my mourning. Yeah, I tried to do this, and my professor pushed back on it, and I still want to do it in a certain way. But I wanted my doctoral project to be around grief, mourning, and laughter, right? Like laughter. The Bible talks about how laughter is medicine for the soul and all of these things. And so, I wanted to create a comedy show that evolved around grief, right, and mourning, right, laughing at my pain, right. I wanted to create a comedy show that was really, it brings about awareness and education to grief, right? And not only awareness and education, but it's done in a funny way. And I wanted to talk about some of the losses, the changes, the transitions I went through in life. I was going to show videos, I was going to do all of this stuff that dealt with grief. And I don't know, he pushed back and was like, man, people laughing at a joke, people, what they gonna do after? I don't think he got it. And so I just had to go a different direction for the sake of trying to get this assignment done. But I was really, really mad because that's what I felt in my heart, to create awareness and education around grief and mourning, and joy and laughter. I wanted to find my way to the intersection of those things and to do a comedy show that brought awareness, right, education towards grief and mourning, in a fun-filled, funny way, right? That's the unique aspect of my personality, and I still might be able to. Well, spiritual form. I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna find a way to work it in. But that's me. That's my contribution, right? That's what I bring, I think, to this conversation. Find your personality and your unique way of how you navigate through this thing called grief. That's so very important. Know your personality and your unique way of navigating through this thing called grief. Today is day 250. My personality determines in part my grief and my mourning. If y'all got any questions or comments at this time, I definitely will take them. If you have any questions or comments, I would love to entertain them at this time. Questions or comments that you may have. Questions or comments that you may have. Questions or comments that you may have. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Look, this is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. Small steps will lead you and take you to great distances. And we're going to continue to make these small steps because we know that they're going to take us a long way. Amen. And so keep showing up. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep showing up for the sake of being a better version of you and navigating through your grief. No questions. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow, same time, same place. Keep moving, keep going, keep growing, keep grieving. We gonna make it. Let's go.